What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA
Monday, August 3rd.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, let's take a look at this 6-game main slate. So at the point guard position, I like Ben Simmons. He's just too cheap here, guys. They haven't raised his price enough yet. He's from the Philadelphia 76ers, playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Ben Simmons has averaged 42.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 36 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 44.6 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's still only $8,100 FanDuel salary and $1,000 more on DraftKings. So I love that FanDuel price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 227.5 points scored in this game. So I like Ben Simmons here versus the San Antonio Spurs. Okay, looking for a little value here at point guard. I like Aaron Holiday from the Indiana Pacers playing the Washington Wizards, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, and they give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Aaron Holiday has averaged 19.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 24 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 22.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's $4,500 FanDuel salary and $500 more on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 227.5 points scored in this game, so I like Aaron Holiday here versus the Washington Wizards. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Drew Holiday from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Memphis Grizzlies, who have the 8th worst defense overall, and they give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Drew Holiday has averaged 39.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. He's projected at 39.5 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's $7,600 FanDuel salary and $1,100 more on DraftKings. So I like that FanDuel price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 237.5 points scored in this game. So I like Drew Holiday here versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay, trying to find some value or at least a mid-range play here at the shooting guard position. I like Dillon Brooks from the Memphis Grizzlies playing the New Orleans Pelicans, who have the 6th worst defense overall, and they give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Dillon Brooks has averaged 24.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. But take a look at these last 3 games. He played 35, 35, and 33 minutes, so his minutes are way up there, scoring between 22 and 30 fantasy points. He's projected at 26.5 fantasy points here tonight, and that's still 5.2 times value. He's $5,100 FanDuel salary and the same price on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 237.5 points scored in this game, so I like Dillon Brooks here versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Brandon Ingram from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Memphis Grizzlies, who have the 8th worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing small forwards. Brandon Ingram has averaged 39.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. Now, he had a bad game last game, guys. Only played 23 minutes, so I think it's a bounce back spot for him here tonight. He's projected at 39.2 fantasy points. That's 5.3 times value. He's 7,400 FanDuel salary and 700 more on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 237.5 points scored in this game, so I like Brandon Ingram here versus the Memphis Grizzlies.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, a nice value play for you here at the small forward position. I like Justin Holiday. Lots of holidays in this video. From the Indiana Pacers playing the Washington Wizards, who have the third worst defense overall, and they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Justin Holiday has averaged 19.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 19 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 3,800 FanDuel salary and 100 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 227.5 points scored in this game, so I like Justin Holiday here versus the Washington Wizards. Okay, who do we have at the power forward position? I like Anthony Davis from the LA Lakers playing the Utah Jazz, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing power forwards, but Anthony Davis has averaged 51.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 30% usage rate. Now, he had a bum game last game. He hasn't hit his 50 fantasy point marker in a while. I think he's due for a big game tonight. He's projected at 51.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.4 times value. He's 9,600 FanDuel salary and 200 more on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 217.5 points scored in this game, so I like Anthony Davis here versus the Utah Jazz. Okay, so this guy's price has come up, but I still think he can hit value, so I like Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies playing the New Orleans Pelicans. A lot of players from this game. I think you can load up on both sides and make out pretty well in this one. The Pelicans have the 6th worst defense overall, and they give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Jaren Jackson Jr. has averaged 30.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. But he's played 34 and 43 minutes in the last 2 games, so his minutes are up, and he's projected at 35.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.6 times value. He's 6,400 FanDuel salary and 200 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 237.5 points scored in this game, so I like Jaren Jackson Jr. here versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, moving on to the center position. This is a tough position here tonight. There's only a couple players I really like, maybe 3, but then it really drops off and it's kind of hard to find a good center. So I suggest just paying up and you go with one of these 2 guys. So I like Joel Embiid from the Philadelphia 76ers playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing centers. Joel Embiid has averaged 46.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 33% usage rate. Now, he put up a monster game last game. He scored 80 fantasy points in 34 minutes. I'm not expecting that kind of performance again, but I think he can drop a 50 burger here. So he's projected at 46.5 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 9,700 FanDuel salary and 600 more on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 227.5 points scored in this game, so I like Joel Embiid here versus the San Antonio Spurs. And if you're looking to go a little cheaper here at the center position, I like Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have a good defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing centers. Nikola Jokic has averaged 45.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 27% usage rate. Now, he's been underperforming the past few games, so I do expect him to finally break out. He's projected at 45 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.1 times value because he's only 8,900 FanDuel salary and 500 more on DraftKings. So I like Nikola Jokic here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.